It doesn't pay to snoop, then accuse the boss. Not a super grand MC, but it was my pettiest moment when it's come to work for sure. First, some background. I own a tanning salon, and it is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. There are usually 56 girls working part-time there, and the pay is $12 an hour plus cash commissions on the things they sell. Packages, lotions. It's worth noting that it's a small non-chain business in a college town. All of the paychecks are kept in a drawer, in individual envelopes with the employees' names on them taped shut. They pick up their envelope on payday, and it has worked well except for one instance. One employee decided to open everyone's envelopes to see their pay, and she was livid that one girl was getting paid $2 more an hour. Instead of just asking me about it, she decided to blast the employee group chat and accuse me of ripping them off, etc. Before you think the same thing, it's worth noting again that this is a college town with all college-age workers. Which for my particular salon it has meant it's very hard to consistently have someone who wants to close weekends. They are all usually going home, have plans, want to study, etc. I try to be super accommodating, and I work around everyone's schedules to the best of my ability. If someone says they cannot work, I do not ask questions, I just accept it and plan accordingly. So, the reason this girl made a little extra was because she offered to close both days every weekend. Because she didn't mind. She didn't want as many week hours, so I offered to pay her a little extra because it was so difficult a lot of the times to schedule that. Plus those 2 days can be a little slow, so commissions are usually not as good. I guess the girl who snooped never bothered to look at the schedule to see if there was maybe a reason that girl made a little more, even though she really didn't because she worked so few hours. Cue malicious compliance. I explained the situation to all of the girls. I told the snooper that since she was right, totally a rip-off, I would make sure to fix it. I started scheduling both the snooper and my weekend closer every weekend night for the next 3 weeks. I really only needed one person working, but I had done a terrible wrong that needed to be made right. At the extra pay for the snooper, of course. I would have done it longer, but she apologized and said she was totally fine going back to how it was because she wanted her weekends back and the extra pay wasn't worth it. I guess we could have decided that together if she had just talked to me in the first place instead of jumping to conclusions. That is actually the best way to have handled that. I must say, you are probably a saint, because I would have fired anyone snooping through the paychecks. Don't know that what everyone else makes was her business. Years ago, at the hotel I work at, one of the housekeepers was very upset that everyone else was getting more shifts than she was. She came down and confronted the manager with husband in tow for moral support and translation assistance. The manager then very patiently explained that the reason that she wasn't getting as many shifts was because she had requested so many days off. Furthermore, despite that, she had slightly more hours than any of the other housekeepers. Her husband gave her a look, the sort that says, "You dragged me here for this nonsense?" Quote. Good way to deal with her being disgruntled about the pay difference. But what did you do about her gross invasion of privacy? How did your normal weekend closer feel about having to share her shift? I would have been so annoyed to be paired with someone who invaded my privacy like that. Should have just fired her. No-brainer. And then you should have fired her for cause. I'm sure breaking into the payroll checks is illegal some way. And then you had the disciplinary meeting about her opening everyone else's sealed mail. You were nice. She should have been fired for opening the envelopes. If it was me, after opening the sealed envelopes, she wouldn't have a job anymore. So there would be no need for any MC. I don't understand why you didn't punt her to the curb immediately. That's a fireable offense no matter where you work. I would have kept her on that schedule until she quit. Not before informal 2-page public apology in the same medium she used before. Cuts both way. The girl that cried wolf. By the way, lock your damn drawer. Not cool to have all the money sitting around just asking to be robbed by people in the know. Well done, Op. You've struck a blow against the pernicious notion that every employee should be paid the same, regardless of the value they bring to the organization. Personally, I'd have made a huge thing of her snooping through everyone else's business. Whether following that by firing her is an entirely different thing I've not thought through. But it would be very tempting. This all sounds like a great case for direct deposit. Not sure if this is MC, but it's definitely a satisfying tale. Genuine question: why do you still pay people with checks? Why don't you do electronic transfer straight into employee accounts? I haven't received a paycheck in 40 years. I'll preface what I say with two things. 1. It's your business and you should run it how you see fit. 2. The employee was absolutely wrong in snooping through others' paychecks. That being said, the whole incident probably could have been avoided if you had let your employees know that there was extra pay for working the closing shifts. Rightly or wrongly, this is the type of incident that leads employees to feel that the boss is playing favorites. Pay discrepancy and perceived pay discrepancy is a large morale issue in a lot of workplaces. You handled this decisively, which is something not a lot of bosses are able to do. It seems to have worked out well this time, but it might not in future. Owning a business is incredibly difficult. You have the admiration of this internet stranger. You handled that all right. You explained and even gave the person the same shift to see what the pay was for, and she agreed with the end result even if it wasn't for her. That's a win for everyone. I'd just like to mention that over time we as employees have a lot of bosses who do take advantage or rip us off. A lot of them pretend to be more friendly and accommodating than they are. Bosses have the ability to ruin lives, and they frequently do. I agree that she could have handled it a bit better, but it's easy to understand her reaction. So I would question why the need to seal the checks and keep them hidden. The taboo about pay is to protect employers doing shady things. It doesn't help workers. It just creates situations like this. Let them compare if they want, or ask you or each other questions. I think it would prevent anything like this happening again and would create a huge amount of trust between you and your employees. Just something to keep in mind. TLDR. I think you handled it pretty well. Everyone agreed. Keep in mind some of the employer-employee power dynamics. I wonder if people who own tanning salons will ever face a similar reckoning for contributing to skin cancer like the tobacco companies did for lung cancer? When you see older, leather-skinned ladies who obviously spent and still spend tons of time in tanning beds, do you ever think, oh yeah, I'm part of that industry?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.